All right, hi guys. We're going to continue the review from before, and this is another phase shift problem. Now, again, these are really hard if you make them hard. I'm being a little lame there, but like, it's true. Write down your A, B, C, and D. A, oh, darn it. Write down our A, B, C, D. So A is equal to -1, B is equal to 1, C is negative pi over 4, and D is equal to 0. Again, once you've done these problems so many times, it becomes a lot easier, sure. But we have to remember the general form is A sine bx minus C plus D. And you can write this like 15,000 times, so you're used to B is always next to X, and there is no B, an invisible B of 1. Our C is always inside the parentheses, and since it's a minus already, see it's a minus, the plus means our B value was negative. Our D is by itself, and there is no number at the end, so we know that's a D is 0, and the A value in front is a negative, so we say it's a -1. So these are all the characteristics that we're going to use to draw out this graph. So we start from D and we go to A, right? The joke is like the subway line. We start from the end and work our way forward. So let's go ahead and start with D. D is 0. That means we're going to start a graph right here at 0. Our C value is negative pi over 4. So negative pi over 4 is here. But just to make sure, we always have to say X is equal to C divided by B, which is negative pi over 4. B value is 1, divided by 1, or negative pi over 4. So we're starting back here. This is my starting line. So we shifted the graph back. So you don't have to draw those arrows, but I want you guys to visually see that. We move the graph back. All right. That's our D and that's our C. Now, to go forward from here, we want to do B. B is a frequency, so we see this once in 2 pi. But for you guys to get to 2 pi, where is 2 pi? Is this 2 pi? Is this 2 pi? I don't know where 2 pi is, especially if I have been doing these problems. So P is equal to 2 pi. So we add our period to our starting value. We say our starting value is negative pi over 4. And we add the period. How long does it take to finish? 2 pi. Now, unfortunately, we see a fraction here. So we have a common denominator of 4 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4. This combines to be 7 pi over 4. That means if we start at pi over 4, we go to pi, we should end up at 7 pi over 4. That's our ending. So let's go find 7 pi over 4. Unfortunately, it's hard to see that here. 7 pi over 4 is, where is it? 7 pi over 4 is, it's like right here actually. Okay, so we're gonna stop like over here. So the graph will look something like that since it's a sine graph. We see one graph by 7 pi over 4. Now the last part here is A value is negative. Oh, our half, half, and half. So half of this is like here, half, half, and half, just so we have our spacing. Our A value is -1. So up by 1, down by 1. And since this is a negative, we go down first. So on your work, I'm expecting you guys to be graphing these graphs on your work. If you don't graph them, fine. I still need all these characteristics to be written here. These values, I should see somehow you starting and finishing the graph in your notebook, in your work. So let's go ahead and draw this out. So I'm not on my computer, but starting here, let's see. Now, we said we're starting and finishing one graph, and looks like maybe this looks like it. This is it. And we had made a mark, if you look at my work, that halfway would be right there, 3 pi over 4. Yeah, we have a halfway 3 pi over 4.
Wait, why is there a
I messed up.
at pi over 4?
This is
1.
going the other way around. I'm sorry, say that again.
I was just gonna ask, like, why is there a point of pi over 4 for positive 1? Like, with positive 1, wasn't it like a negative 1?
Yeah, you're right. That's 100% right. And thanks for catching that. I caught it a little bit later. So we just graphed our sine graph. Now, I think let's go back to the question right at the top. That's, I think, when we first asked to draw a sine graph. I'm going to do this question here just as a practice. So Marco, you asked me to graph a sine graph. This is very similar to what you wanted. So our d value is 1 here. So we know our graph is going to be somewhere in this middle section here. Oops. So the graph will be someplace here because the graph is d is 1. My amplitude is 1, so we're up 1. And the question is, where are we going to end? Now, if you look at the b value is going to be an invisible 1. That means we see the graph happen all in 2 pi. So I'm going to go ahead and mess with this graph real quick now that we've drawn it. So on your test, I'm expecting you guys to write down a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, c is 0, and d is 1. I need to see these characteristics. So we see that d is 1, got that. C is 0, starting at 0, got that. So these are always the easiest ones here. Well, C is not easy if it's not 0. Now, Marco, what's the period of this problem? P is 2 pi over what letter? You probably say in your head. Letter is B, right? 2 pi over B. And my B value is 1. So it's 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi. That means we have to start at 0 because we started at 0. We have to finish the graph at 2 pi. Now, looking at what I drew here, did we finish up 0, down 0 by 2 pi? Yeah, that looks pretty good. And that's what you have to make sure you do. You finish graph when we're told to finish. If I start at 0, we finish at 2 pi. Now, for my other problem, we started at negative pi over 4. That means the graph is going to start back here at negative pi over 4. And then we have to go 2 pi someplace. Now, where's that stopping area? We said negative pi over 4 plus 2 pi. Man, that's a fraction and not a fraction. So I'm going to change it. Negative pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4 becomes 7 pi over 4. 8 minus 1 is 7. So we stop at 7 pi over 4. So there's a lot of work to figure this out. I mean, but in reality, we've been working on this stuff our whole lives. Like, if I say, no, instead of starting at 12 o'clock, I have to start work at 11:45. And I work for 2 hours. That means you don't end at 2 o'clock, you end up working till 1:45, right? We added 2 hours to it. So if you start early, we end early. If you start late, we end late. It's kind of interesting trying to teach my little kids about time. Like after 12, you have to reset. We had to learn how to do that. Same thing for this pi. We have to work with pi now. Okay, our
One of the
amplitude was
things.
1. So A is 1.
I bet.
Up 1, down 1. I'm sorry, Nazareth. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that like one of the things I found difficult with like my open math is just
Mm-hmm.
like graphing it. I don't know, it's kind of weird. How would
Yeah,
you
it's a little different
where would you
than.
suggest that we would start?
Great question. So what happens is you first have to make a decision if it's sine or cosine. So for this graph here, we said it's sine. So if you look at these two options here, right, the two boxes, one looks like red to red, right? Tip to tip, that's cosine graphs automatically. This guy here, middle to top, that's sine graphs. That's one of the hints. So if I wanted to graph a cosine graph, sure. Darn it. Oh gosh. What are you doing? I could do tip to tip, and that would be my cosine graph. And I can move the cosine wherever I wanted to. So I'm grabbing the red markers, holding them down, and then I can move them up and down. Okay, let's graph this graph again. One more time. Since this was a sine graph, I'm choosing the second one. We say our d value is 1. Our amplitude is 1. Great. And then our period, we're going to stretch out this graph till we end up at 2 pi. You can see the point way over here. That's 2 pi. And then you guys can check your answers. And if you get a little check mark, that means you got it right. You guys can check it up to like 5 times. I don't know what's wrong with you people.
I don't get it, Mr. I have another question too. Like, oh my god, I feel so dumb asking this, but
no, please.
For like the questions where it asks us to like fill everything out, like with the amplitude.
Oh, right in the beginning, sure.
Like that. How do we find the phase shift? Like, what do we use?
The phase shift is the equation x equals to c over b. X equals c over b. Okay, so I'll do this one right here, okay? So the amplitude is positive 7, because the absolute value of 7 is 7. The period is 2 pi over b. Nazareth, what's the b value in this equation? The b value?
9.
9, yeah, thank you. So it's 2 pi divided by 9. Oh my gosh, why is there fraction over fraction? 9, there you go. Okay. And then the phase shift is x equals to c over b. So it's pi over 10, and we divide this again by 9. So I'm going to rewrite this around to make this easier for us to look at. So let me just take a screenshot and fix it. So it's pi over 10 divided by 9. We don't like dividing fractions from algebra 2. So we multiply by the reciprocal, and the reciprocal of 9 over 1 is 1 over 9. So it's pi over 90. That is actually our phase shift.
Can we even leave it like that?
No, if you leave like that, the fraction is probably going to be wrong. But I mean, we can try since I can submit. Nope, see, they don't like it that format. I'm going to rewrite it as
like
9.
Pi over 90.
Oh, yeah. They'll take it. Woo, see that? I don't want the decimal, folks. Leave me in pi form. If you write the decimal, I think you're cheating. Okay, we can look at this graph here. The amplitude from 4 to 7 is 3 up, and from 4 to 1 is 3. The period, how long does it take me to finish one graph? If I start at 0, if I start at 0, and I go up, down, and back up, right? It's like one whole circle. That's from 0 to 3 is 3. Don't overthink it. That is 3. There's no pi needed. So we said that's going to be 3. The midline, what's the center of the graph? That looks like 4. 4 to 7, 4 to 1. That's both 3 spaces. That's 4. That's how easy this question could be. Will you get a lot of easy questions? Not necessarily, but all these questions help you with figuring out how to graph.
Mr. Ko, how do you find the period again?
The period for this graph is you make a decision. When do you start and stop? And we can do that a couple of different ways. So for this problem, if I start at the center at 0 here, tell me when I reset the graph. Just say stop.
Stop.
Back here, right?
Do you do the same thing for can you do the same thing for all problems?
Yeah, that's our period. And when we draw the period, we're trying to tell us when to stop. Okay, so, I mean, even if it's an ugly point back here, let me erase this, I'll show you something. What if I start back here? That's a nice point, What's the distance between those two nice points? That's 3 spaces. And that's the period. Now, The hard part is going from the graph back to the regular b value. So sure, the p-value is 3, but don't we have an equation, 2 pi over b? So to go backwards to write the equation, we're going to swap b is equal to 2 pi over 3, and that's our b value, sine of 2 pi over 3x. This is our b value. What's the d value? We said the d value was 4, and the amplitude was up 3, down 3. This is the original equation of this problem. So to show work for problems like this, I'm not going to expect you to show work for amplitude, right? If you want on your work, you can draw the image quickly and just say 3 up, 3 down. But the only one I really need you to draw work for, if anything, is like this one. It's going to be so obvious, I'm not going to worry about it. But if I ask you for the b value, or to write the original equation, you had to show the work I just showed. Okay. To find the b value, because it's not obvious. Like this one here, we did this last time, so we can do it again. Let's just go ahead and give myself a similar question, which is kind of cool. Come on, give me a similar question. All right, so this one looks like, where the hell am I supposed to start? Well, let's steal some points. We can work on d first. What's the d? What's the d value? I think it was this one, right? So if my top is 6 and my bottom is -2, 6 plus -2 is 4. Divide this by 2, that's the average, that's 2. Hey, 2 is the middle, right? That's my center line. What they call a midline in my open math. So we know d is equal to 2. We got one part of it. C, you know what? I'm going to start at 0. I don't want a phase shift. Okay. Now, what's the b value? Well, b value is from period. Well, tell me what the period is. Okay, if I start from here, oh, I don't see the ending. What if I go backwards? Okay, from -6 to 0, right? How many spaces is that? That's 6 spaces. So my period is 6. Because it takes me from start to finish, 6 spaces to finish. Well, that doesn't help me with the period. Well, it kind of does. So to find the period, I'm going to go back to my basic equation. P equals to 2 pi over b, which equals to 6. We have a cheap math trick where we swap the variable if it's on the denominator. 2 pi over 6 equals to b, which reduces to pi over 3 is b. Now we know our b value, pi over 3. And our a value, it's the distance from the midline to the top, and that's going to be +3. Is it? No, I messed up. It's from 2. Sorry. 2 to 6 is 4. So my amplitude is +4 because I went up here. If I went down, it would have been -4. So my a value is 4. Now that we have all our characteristics, we can now fill it in. We're building our Tesla now. We know everything we want. 4, pi over 3, and 2. 4, we said this is my sine graph, sine. And we want to do a fraction, pi over 3. Oops. Pi for pi. 3. We'll give ourselves an x. And then we said, let's close it. Oh, darn it. We're going to add 2. And you can submit it. If you're not sure, it would check it for you. You have like 5 checks. And if you want to do another problem, hit similar question. Come on, this is your learning here. You can decide how many questions you want to do. If you're not sure, there's a video you can ask. I'll send you to a video.
I feel like those videos are like, I've tried learning through them, I don't know.
Then,
I don't know
you
if
know
it's
what?
just the guy who the way he
Depends.
explains it, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just
So
weird.
if you can't learn from those videos, you don't think like they're helpful, then you look at my videos and you
No,
don't
so you're
think
not
those are
helpful
helpful.
either.
Well, screw you.
I'm just kidding. Well, like I said, I was doing one of the problems is like phase shift, and
Mhm.
I like inputted something incorrectly, and so I got it wrong, and it gave me the answer. So I wasn't able to change my answer again. Now I did another one, but
Doesn't it let you
I
check your answer a couple of times or it doesn't?
it lets you check after like you've done it
A couple of
a
times, right?
certain amount of times. Yeah.
Five
So
times.
like I know it's x equals c over b, but like what if my period was like 2 pi over 5,
Sure.
and
Thank you for
then
asking that. Let
yeah.
me go ahead and just use this as some
Oh
scratch
my
paper.
god.
So you said, what if your period is equal to what? Like 2 pi over 3 or something? Or
So
what?
the equation itself is y equals 8 cosine 5x minus pi over 5. The amplitude is 8. The period is 2 pi over 5. And like, I don't know.
Okay,
It's
so you
pretty.
said the d value is pi over 5? What's the d value?
Yeah.
Oh, it was pi over 5?
Yeah, it was pi over 5.
Well, that's a weird one. Okay, so the p value is 2 pi over 5. That's it. 2 pi over
This.
5.
Okay. The parentheses, mister.
Oh, do I need it? Oh, like that. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So sorry. So our b value is equal to 5, and our c value is positive pi over 5, okay? And then our phase shift is pi over 5 divided by 5. We don't like dividing fractions, so we multiply by the denominator, so by the reciprocal, 1 over 5. So we're left with pi over 25, and that's our phase shift. Nazir, are you okay?
No, I'm dying, mister.
Okay, we'll just take a
No,
deep
but
breath.
it was right though. Thank you.
Okay, good.
I don't know. I guess it just confused me because I know in order to find like the period, you have to it has to be 2 pi and then like the number that you're given.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But for some answers, I don't put in the 2 and I still get it right. So I was wondering,
Uh,
do I have to like incorporate
it's
like
always
the
2
2
pi
pi?
over b. It's always 2 pi over b. Maybe when
Mm-hmm.
you reduce, the 2 goes away, but
Yeah.
it's always, yeah. Okay. All right. That's it for the day. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. Today is a short day.